Welcome back to Credlin. I'm James Morrow. Let's bring in our final panel for tonight. So much to talk about. Radio 2CC host Stephen Cenatiempo and Sky News contributor, the Duke of the Dictionary, Kel Richard. Gents, Labour is facing demands to release drafts of its new hate speech and gun control legislation to make sure these bills can be scrutinised properly before they are presented to Parliament, which is set to be recalled early, sometime possibly before Australia Day. Stephen Cenatiempo, let's start with you here. I've got a lot of concerns about these hate speech laws, particularly when they are so rushed. Nobody wants hate speech, but it feels like they're going after the wrong enemies here.
Yeah, well, that's typical of this government, but it's also indicative of the lack of transparency. And we've heard the reports on this government being the least transparent government we've ever had. Now, they came to power promising to do government differently, and they were going to be touchy-feely, and they're going to tell us everything they were doing. They've done everything but. And that's what it comes down to here is we should be concerned about these laws, even if you're a proponent of hate speech laws or the new firearms laws or whatever legislation might be. You should be afraid of the fact that this government doesn't want proper scrutiny of any of its legislation. And that's been a hallmark over the last year or so since the last election, or at least over the last 4 years since they were elected the first time, is that they try to rush all of this stuff through Parliament. They ram it through without any proper scrutiny, without proper committees, etc. That's what we should be really concerned about, is that we are getting rubbish legislation because a government is driven by ideology rather than good process.
Well, that's exactly right. And Kel, one of my concerns here, too, is that Australia is going down the road of the United Kingdom here, insofar as it is deciding that the enemy of social cohesion is the people themselves, who need to be ever more tightly policed about what they can say and do and even think and view online. Kel, are you concerned that, again, this government is aiming its fire in the wrong direction because it wants to distract from some of the real causes behind the Bondi terror attack and possibly Labour's complicity in some of that?
Look, that's exactly right. You think about what the alternative is to bringing in hate speech and gun laws. The alternative is we sit down and work out where the anti-Semitism came from and how various levels of government responded to it. Oh, we can't do that. That terrifies. This man, you made the point earlier that he's not a leader. He's not a leader. He is a bumbling bureaucrat who looks weaker by the day. He talks like an inter-office memo, and he works at the pace of a fairly slowish glacier. So he wants to do as little as possible about this. He's called in a review which is as narrow as possible, so it looks as little as possible. And if, as the rumours say, he is softening on a Royal Commission, watch out for what the terms of reference are, because that will give away the fact he doesn't want anything to be actually answered. That's why he's doing this. He'd rather bring in a damaging law that does something to your free speech and mine than actually look at his own government and what they failed to do.
Kel, I reckon you're absolutely right about those terms of reference, and if they do a Royal Commission, they're going to write those so narrowly to keep the Prime Minister's office out of the frame. Hey, Stephen, I want to go into another story here. Broke in the Daily Telegraph this morning here. A U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration DEA agent based in Sydney has been booted from the country following complaints made by the AFP about his alleged compromising of an investigation. And this is the second time we've had the DEA kicked out of the country by the AFP. What, Stephen, is happening here? It seems like there's a huge story underneath this between the AFP, state police, those rivalries we saw, around some of the anti-Semitism incidents, and the United States, who we really, considering everything that's going on, we want to have all the close ties we can with them.
Well, there's a couple of issues here. Look, I mean, it's hard to sort of work out what's really going on here without knowing exactly what this DEA agent did. But the biggest concern here is the differences between the AFP and the New South Wales State Police and the clear animosity that is there. I mean, if we can't have our own agencies working together, what hope have we got of working with overseas agencies like the DEA that we absolutely need to be involved with, because the drug importation issue is a massive issue here in Australia, and then you can extend that to illegal tobacco and a whole bunch of other issues, illegal firearms, all sorts of things. But look, if this agent has actually done something wrong, fine, he should be expelled from the country. But if the New South Wales police are saying, no, this guy's done the right thing, he's actually helped us in our investigations here, but the AFP is failing, maybe we do need this Richardson review to be a little bit broader than just Bondi and look at the AFP and ASIO as organisations as a whole.
Kel, very quickly, do we need to have more scrutiny over how our state and federal agencies are working together here?
Well, we do, and they do need to get on better. And when it comes to drugs, we need as much help as we possibly can. As Stephen said, we have a massive drug importation problem. The DEA actually knows all about that. They have international intelligence. Now, if it's coming into one agency and not another, if one's agreeing with it and others not, we've got a problem, and we need to find out.
Well, I think you're right. And if they can get all our records together on MyGov, maybe they can get all of their things together between the AFP and the New South Wales Coppers. Stephen Cenatiempo, Kel Richards, going to have to leave it there. Thank you both for your time.